welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, with the City of Hampton's Communications and Marketing Department. And today we're going to talk to two young people in our community and their special push for working with April as a month of peace. My guests are James Payne. Welcome, James.
Hello.
And Jaydi Lyons.
Hi.
Welcome.
Happy
And
to be
just by way of introduction, I want each of you to tell the audience just a little bit about yourselves, where you go to school, things like that. So James, let me let you start. You've been here before.
Well, my name is James Payne. I go to school at Thomas Nelson Community College, and I graduate this May. So hopefully I'll be moving on to one of the three, William & Mary, UVA, or VCU.
And put in a plug for your high school. You got to throw that in too.
Oh yeah,
Where you graduated.
Kickingham High School, home of everyday greatness. The Kickingham Warriors. I love the green and white. So yes, ma'am.
All right, and Jaydi?
I am 17 years old. I go to Hampton High School. I'm a senior this year. I'm in the IB program, and I graduate in June this year. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to is continuing to college, either at UMW or William & Mary, like James, Tribe Pride. And that's about it. Kind of new to this.
So how did you guys, you're both involved with the, I forget exactly the terminology, but the youth component of the Citizens Unity Commission. Jaydi, what brought you into that organization?
I actually got a phone call one day from Miss Michelle Woods-Jones.
And you were recruited.
Yes, and she asked me to be a part of this group that they were trying to put together after we had a number of unfortunate events amongst our youth, one being the carnival shooting. I believe that's what triggered it. So our first meeting was in July, our first real meeting, when we had about 20 youth.
Mm-hmm.
We had about 20 youth. And when we got there, I wasn't quite sure where we were going with this. Like, what was it that we could do? Because I never felt like our youth really had a voice. And this was really our opportunity to have a voice in our community.
That's great. And James, how did you get involved?
Well, it was just another day at work as I was working for the planning division.
You were, and let's just remind people, you were, as a student, a part-time employee of the planning department who was one of our two youth planners. So
yeah, yes,
you were in City Hall a lot.
Yeah, yes,
They just dragged you down a different floor and said, James, come on over.
But it was a blessing. I had gotten out of a meeting, and when I went to my desk, there was a note, and it said, Michelle Jones would like to meet with you. And so I went to go figure out who that was first, and then we started talking, and she was explaining this group that she was putting together and what it was going to do for the city, and I absolutely just, for the passion that I have for this city and the community, I had to jump on it. I loved it to death, and so I was kind of invited, just like Jaydi. I didn't get the magical phone call.
So what makes this so important to you? Like Jaydi, you said you didn't feel like youth had a voice. Did it occur to you before to try to get involved, or did you sort of need that nudge?
Well, it occurred to me because we have extracurricular activities that you do in your school in order to, I guess, speak to your youth, but nothing at the caliber at which we're working now. Mm-hmm. We always did a lot of talking at our schools. We always did a lot of brainstorming, so to speak, but we never acted on it. And I was just really floored by the fact that I was given the opportunity to act on it, because I had a couple of friends and a couple of acquaintances who lost their lives due to youth violence. And it's traumatizing. It really is. And it's really sad to see the families of those people as well. So I think that part of the reason why I was so interested in this is because I wanted to help change that. No mother or father should have to lose their child. No brother or sister should lose an older sibling. And if we didn't do something, then our younger siblings, because we both have younger siblings, would ultimately be living in the same reality that we've been experiencing for the past couple of years. And that's just not something that sat well with me.
So what are we going to do about it? And not the big picture, because that's, too big. You can't change everything all at once. But you change things by starting incrementally.
Right now we're working on the month of peace, which is April. We've brainstormed a couple of ideas. We've gotten a couple balls rolling, thinking of youth festivals, community events, community recreational sports, things like that we could get the community involved, so we're all moving together, working on unity and kind of bringing back the family component of our community, because that's one thing that we've really been lacking in, or in my opinion, that we've really been lacking in. And I've noticed that one of the things that's truly missing is parental involvement. And when we don't have that, there's nothing that our youth can really do, because although it is partly our responsibility, it starts with our parents and how we're raised. And when you're not getting that love and that connection at home, you don't really have that in the street. You don't know how to navigate that or provide that for someone else. So we're thinking about those few community events. We've been talking about focus groups. We've got a focus group event coming up in order to hear from other youth that aren't a part of our organization, aren't a part of our program, to get a couple more opinions that we don't often see, because we are of a group that come from a certain demographic. Not everyone comes from the same background that we do, and we're making a point to make sure that we're getting the opinions and the voices of those who aren't participating, because those are ultimately the most important voices.
Well, and that's one of the things I was going to say, is that sometimes what happens when you get people, and in this case it's youth, involved in a problem, is you get the kids who are maybe touched by the problem peripherally, but not necessarily that at-risk demographic. Because let's face it, you're both looking at going to Women Marry next year. You're both, high achievers. You are probably not in the real center of it, but you're close enough to see it and touch it. But you also want to pull in some people who are maybe affected in that day-to-day kind of way. How do you do that?
Well, I will say, as far as being a young man in this community, I actually grew up in Newport News till about the age of 10. And then I came over to the greatest city on earth, Hampton, Virginia. But as I was growing up here, I guess I was, at a young age, I was doing a lot of soul searching. I didn't really know who I wanted to be or who I really was. All I knew is that my parents raised me to be a great young man one day. Unfortunately, me being, I guess, the young man that I was, I found pleasure in other things, such as being the cool kid. And that taught me a lot. And I'd say the reason why that taught me a lot in pertaining to your question is everyone's going to go through a time in their life or an experience that may be detrimental to their life, but it doesn't stop there. Everybody can pull out of the hole that they may be in. And I think the biggest thing is having faith in everybody. Like you said, I'd say Jaydi she is truly beneficial to our city. And I say that with 100% honesty. We sit in meetings together and just build off of each other. And I can truly say that. I hope that I'll be beneficial to the city one day. But at the same time, every young person is. And if we don't have that faith in every young person, and diversity is a funny word that we tend to use, but is it truly applied? See, diversity is not just about the different demographics you come from, but maybe the fact that, hey, this kid comes from this side of town and he's done this in his life. Now, is it necessarily positive? It may not be. But can we have faith in that kid? And that young man, I say kid, can we have faith in that young man to pull it together and truly use his talent in a positive manner for the city? And the answer to that question is yes. And that's really what our group, how do we do that? It's by having faith in every young person. When we look at you, we do not see what you have done in the past. We do not see who you hang around. We see a young person. And with every young person comes potential to be beneficial for the overall improvement and the well-being of our city.
Well, now, how do you tie in peace? Like, when I hear peace, I think of war. I mean, I think of Crimea. I think of Russia. I think of, the things that are going on in that outside world. How do you bring peace home to a community, a school, a household? She's looking at you, James.
Yeah, I guess I'll go. How do we bring peace into? I'd say it starts with, everyone says that, it takes a village to raise a child, and Lord knows it took a village to raise me. And actually, my uncle was just calling as we started this to probably tell me good luck today. So with that said, that village it's not just your family. And so many people focus, and I can attest to this because I used to say, the village is just your family. But it's unfortunate that some young men and women don't have that family there. They may just have their mother. And that's that. So our family is our community. They're the group that we have here. That's my family. Not just my immediate family as my mom, my dad, and my brother, but I tell all the community leaders, Councilman Moffitt, he's like a father to me. I mean, because that's the village. They have all helped me develop to become, or they've helped me develop into the young man that I would like to be. So with that said, how do we make that happen? Is, again, I'd say the faith in our young people. You have to reach out. And even when you think that you've reached out enough, reach out even more. Because a young person, it's one thing to have a young person that's already doing the negative activity and getting involved with crime. And then there's one thing to have the positive kids who are all A students. But there's that group in the middle that tends to get forgotten about.
Yeah. They're not loud in either direction. They're flying under the radar.
But I will say those are some of the kids who could be at risk the most because they are on the fence. So they could teeter-totter over to that criminal side of the story, or they could be the all-A student. But that's where the village comes in. So it's our job as the village. We're all brothers and sisters in this community, in my mind. So we have to treat each other as brothers and sisters.
And one of the things that we're actually working on with our month of peace, because like you were saying, when you think of peace, you think of war, etc. One of the things we're trying to establish is a common goal for peace, because obviously we can't change immediately what it is that our youth are doing, the mindset that they have, or the issues that are driving them to the violence. But we can do things that would push them to the more positive aspects, like James was saying. We do need the village, and the village is all of us. One of the things that we talk about in the meetings all the time is that when you, excuse me, when you discuss the things that need to be changed in our community, a lot of people say, well, the city needs to do this and the city needs to do that, but we are the city.
Right.
So it needs not to be the city needs to do things, but we need to do things, because we can't ask for things to happen and then just sit back and wait for them to happen. We have to take some initiative as the community. Our slogan for our month of peace is the Peace Campaign, because obviously we have not quite been in a position where we could celebrate peace, but it's us pushing for peace.
Ooh, and that imagery is good too, because campaign is traditionally a word used in wars. You have your Peninsula Campaign or whatever during the Civil War. So a campaign for peace brings to my mind at least that kind of strategic steps toward getting there.
Right. So we have definitely, I believe we've been really working hard for that. We've been to a lot of community events. We're seeing a lot of youth start to get involved. I think it's best because the adults are starting to reach out and actually hear us. So this particular month is going to be one of the most beneficial months to our city. And I would urge everyone to get involved and to find out what you can do to help, because this is a big moment. A lot of us, I know that my class is about to graduate, but as we've seen the kids and the lowerclassmen at our schools, it's really sad to see kids that are so hard on the thought of it's cool to be violent, it's cool to be mean, it's cool to bully. We have to push that away. And our class wasn't a class like that. But the classes below us, I don't want them to be influenced by what it is that they're seeing from the people that are ahead of them. And we need to set a better example. If this is what the kids below us think is okay, you're looking up to us. And we need to make a point of making sure that what you're looking up to is not what it is that you are replicating. So.
Okay, so you said people need to get involved. What do you want people to do? And we're talking about youth out there if they're watching this on YouTube, or maybe their parents or grandparents if they're watching it on Channel 47. What can people do to support this effort?
Now, when you ask the question, are you asking for the youth only, or are you asking for the parent component as well?
Both. Tell us what you need.
Okay.
This is your chance.
Well, one of the things that do you want to take this?
Well, I mean, I was just simply going to say, as far as young people in the city, I guess it's pretty general, but we need support. And that's, what Jaydi was talking about as far as young people feeling like something is cool. we need that support. We need this to be cool because it is. You know, so many people, do not get me wrong, and I've said so many people multiple times, but the future is great. But if we don't cherish this moment today, if we don't use this moment today to the best of our ability, how do we expect to even make the future something bright? And this is today. This is what's going on today. So as far as young people in the city, we have to cherish this moment today. And we have to support, I say just us, but there's so many other groups in this city that are doing great things as well, as the Hampton Youth Commission and so on. So this is the cool stuff. And I say it with a smile on my face because this is what we want to be the cool stuff. This is what we want people to be involved in. And we need that support system. We need young people talking about it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever other social networking is out there. And we need adults. We need adults grabbing their young person that they may watch over, or their son and daughter, and saying, hey, come on, let's do some cool stuff. So,
okay, so we're going to just right here say that people can get more information on the Citizens Unity Commission website, and that's hampton.gov/ I think it's CUC. It will be if it's not. And also hampton.gov/youth violence, which is the Citizen Coalition's site. Do you guys also have any Facebook or Twitter handles that you'd like to throw out there?
Well, we're currently working on putting together a video blog for the youth, so that people in our group can each show their different personalities and talk about their everyday issues, so that the youth that aren't being heard have someone to relate to. You know, sometimes when you're having issues, you don't have the opportunity to turn to someone. Not everyone has someone. So definitely look for our video blog. We're working on getting together an Instagram page and a Twitter page, as James was saying.
All right.
And I believe, is there a Facebook page already together?
I don't think there is, and that's one thing that we're going to work on as well.
Whatever we build, though, we're going to link to it from hampton.gov/CUC and hampton.gov/youth violence, and we will use what we adults have, those channels, and you guys will bring in some additional youth, and we will keep this conversation going. We'll make sure that people spend the month of April trying to think about peace, but also remembering that it is a campaign. I mean, it's a long-term effort. So
Indeed.
maybe you guys will come back and report on how it went a year from now.
We'd love to. Yes,
okay.
We'd love to.
Thank you for coming, James, and thank you, JD. It's been wonderful
Thank you for
talking
having
to you.
us. Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I hope you will set aside some time to either attend these events or be on social networking or just talk about peace and have some extra reflection during the month of April. Thank you.